What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and in the 3 weeks since Dave Chappelle's Netflix special The Closer launched, it has upset a very small, albeit very loud group of people who continue to try to play victim and get this pulled down from Netflix. And they literally have a list of demands that they want Netflix to do to make it right, to give them equity in this situation and acknowledge the victimhood that they are going through. Now, what group of people, you ask, was this? Was it Asians? Was it Jewish people? Was it white people? Was it conservatives? Was it Democrats? Was it black people? Because these are all different groups of people that Dave Chappelle took shots at during this special. Of course not. We know who it was. It was specific members of the trans community. Not everybody by any stretch of the imagination, but a small number of them who decided to take it upon themselves to label Dave Chappelle a bigot, a transphobe, a homophobe, anything that they could possibly think of to try to give themselves victimhood status and make Dave Chappelle look like he's punching down in some way. However, so many people have come out to support Dave Chappelle. A lot of people, a lot of different comedians that maybe don't agree with some of the things Chappelle said, but support his right to say them, and even some members of the trans community. Well, the one that came out the other day might be a pretty big name in this community as well. Caitlyn Jenner defends Dave Chappelle, says he's 100% right. And I think everybody knows who Caitlyn Jenner is. I think everybody understands Caitlyn Jenner's story. And in fact, Dave Chappelle made a joke about Caitlyn Jenner, multiple jokes about Caitlyn Jenner in this special. And now Caitlyn Jenner is coming out and saying Dave Chappelle is 100% right and he shouldn't be canceled and he should be allowed to say exactly what he's saying. And if that doesn't tell you how ridiculous this entire situation is, that someone who was literally part of this comedy routine, who was literally had shots taken at them specifically, is completely fine with it and supports Dave Chappelle's right to say it, it really shows how crazy all these other people are. Let's read through this. Caitlyn Jenner says the controversy over Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, The Closer, is about woke culture run amok. Speaking out on Twitter on Wednesday, Jenner said the uproar over Chappelle's language on trans people, of whom Jenner is one, if you didn't know that, is an attack on free speech. And I want to go to Caitlyn Jenner's tweet right here. Dave Chappelle is 100% right. This isn't about the LGBTQ movement. It's about woke cancel culture run amok, trying to silence free speech. We must never yield or bow to those who wish to stop us from speaking our minds. And regardless of what you think about Caitlyn Jenner, whatever you think of their life decisions or about their politics or whatever it may be, you have to respect this sentiment. The fact that she is a part of this community, right? And she is very actively standing behind Dave Chappelle to expose how some in the community have acted for this. How some who just want to cancel people, who just want equity, who just wants another leg up, another thing to prove their victimhood. So they're trying to use Dave Chappelle to get that. Caitlyn Jenner is calling them out, and some of the responses to this are great. They're fantastic. Someone says, what exactly did Dave Chappelle say that was offensive? This is a great response. He retold a story of a trans friend of his defending some of the positions Dave had taken up, who was then turned on by her own community and bullied / attacked online to the point they ended up killing themselves. Dave held up a mirror, and they didn't like what they saw. Yeah. That's why people are upset. And there are, of course, some people that didn't even watch the entire special are just going off headlines they saw or something and calling Dave a transphobe, whatever. Look at this response. I think this ends the debate. Hashtag Dave Chappelle on Netflix made fun of Caitlyn Jenner directly. So if anyone should be offended, it should be her, and she's not. Doesn't that say something? People are just tired of cancel culture and bullies. Absolutely they are. Now, we saw a trans comedian come out and defend Dave Chappelle. Several members of the trans community have come out vocally and supported Dave Chappelle. It's only these activists that have not. It's only these activists who have continued to try to make it about them over and over and over again. Ashley Marie Preston, that person is a disgusting human being. Truly. You've seen some of the things I said in the past. You've seen how they don't want to take accountability for it. They don't want to acknowledge the hypocrisy. They just want to continue to make it about themselves and about gaining clout for themselves and about perpetually being a victim. And that's not what Caitlyn Jenner is doing here. Caitlyn Jenner is supporting Dave Chappelle and his right to speak out. Chappelle has ultimately blamed corporate interest for the problem. This is again what Dave said. I want everyone in this audience to know, even though the media frames it that it's me versus the community, that's not what it is. Do not blame the entire LGBT community for any of this shit. It has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say. For the record, everyone I know from that community has been loving and supportive, so I don't know what all this nonsense is about. And it goes back to the fact that Twitter is not real life. You know, we saw so much of this backlash towards Dave Chappelle on the mainstream media, and specifically on Twitter. These Twitter interactions, whether it was the trans Netflix employees or whoever, getting a lot of Twitter interaction, but that means nothing. Twitter's used by about 20% of United States adults. Right? That heavily skews young, and it heavily skews female, and it heavily skews incredibly far to the left. So it's not a really good makeup of the general population, how the general consensus of people are feeling. It's simply not. That's why if you are a studio, if you are an entertainment industry, if you are someone who looks at Twitter and says that's what we're going to base our marketing off of, that's what we're going to base everything off of, that is a massive mistake. It really is. Because that makes no sense in the grand scheme of things. And it says here, Jenner was both hailed and blasted for the tweet. I mean, let's see, when we look at this, listen, it's got 5.3 thousand likes, only 469 comments, and only 270 quote tweets. So, I mean, there are some people, right? It's funny, there are some people who don't think that Caitlyn Jenner is trans enough. Caitlyn Jenner has not done what it takes to be part of the trans community. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't align with the things we think, so she's not really part of the trans community. You see this so often in these woke leftist echo chambers where, well, that person, they're a race traitor, right? They're not really a black person because they think this. We can't accept them into our society, our club, if they have that thought. You know, they're all about the color of the skin. They're all about diversity. They're all about what gender you are, who you want to fuck, until you have an idea that doesn't align with theirs. So for the most part, people are praising, not praising, but like receptive to what Caitlyn Jenner has said in the same way that the vast majority of people are very receptive to what Dave Chappelle said and are supporting him. And it's good to see more people coming out like that, regardless of how you feel about Caitlyn Jenner. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. Every day that goes by, the activists keep on losing, and that is a beautiful thing to see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.